I have been every voice.
You are the chosen one!
Anakin! Anakin!
This is where the fun begins.
Inside your head.
Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian Season 3 and more. As always guys, before I dive into the news, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so already, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted each and every time that I post new content. As I've said in the past my dear Mandalorians, I will be doing a 60,000 subscriber special, so do stay tuned for that. But without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, grab your favourite beverage and let's dive into it. So we start with a rumour for the Book of Boba Fett. Jordan Mason has heard that Cobb Vanth, Greef Karga and Migs Mayfeld are going to appear in the show. So of course this sounds very exciting. As you're probably aware, we've had a lot of supposed leaks for the Book of Boba Fett lately, and they've all been centred around characters from The Mandalorian making an appearance. While it does seem like a lot of cameos, it does make sense considering Lucasfilm's attempt to make the Book of Boba a focal part of the Mandalorian universe. They don't really want the show to stand completely alone and are trying to intertwine several Mandoverse shows. I also think that this is going to become a trend when we get The Mandalorian Season 3, Star Wars Ahsoka and also Rangers of the New Republic. Now funnily enough, I did report 2 weeks ago that it seems likely that we're going to see Cobb Vanth in the show, and now it appears to be coming somewhat closer to reality. I'll tell you what though, one character I'm really looking forward to see again is Greef Karga. Carl Weathers is a living legend and his performance and directing skills in Chapter 12 The Siege was second to none. I fell in love with this character almost instantly as soon as we saw him in the pilot episode of Mando. So in my mind, more Greef Karga is always welcome. His presence in Boba would make sense considering his strong ties to the Bounty Hunter Guild. So as always, I look forward to that with great anticipation. As for Bill Burr's character Migs Mayfeld, could anyone ask for a better comedic touch? I don't think so. He's a very well developed character at this point, and in Chapter 15 The Believer, the show really expanded his backstory in a more emotional and I guess pseudo-political way. This idea of blindly following orders and the destruction that can lead to. I really liked his questioning of the Empire and realizing that life is more important than ignorant subservience. But long story short, what I'm trying to say is that I love Bill and I love his character Migs, so please Robert Rodriguez make this happen and include him. I mean, he probably already has. Now I want to address a question that I received the last time I covered the rumour mill for the Book of Boba Fett. Someone asked me if we're getting all of these cameos, what's the real point in making the series separate to The Mandalorian? My answer would be that the spine of the show, and its backbone if you will, is in actuality very different to The Mandalorian. It not only focuses on Boba's conquest of the Tatooine underworld, but is centred on where Boba has been and his own unique struggles, his life, his adventures and journeys. The show might have familiar faces and be linked to Mando, but I'm certain that the talented people who work on the show are going to make it stand out as its own unique series. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. So now we're going to be talking about Jabba the Hutt, who joins the War of the Bounty Hunters next month. The Marvel comic series has been exploring beloved characters like Baylet Valance, Boba Fett, Bosk and more as they show off their deadly skills around the galaxy. With the upcoming War of the Bounty Hunters event set to take the excitement to a whole new level, which includes Jabba the Hutt joining the fray. In addition to bounty hunters delivering riveting adventures, fans can expect a series of one-shot comics, which includes Jabba getting his own standalone issue. So according to StarWars.com, Tatooine's fearsome crime lord Jabba the Hutt has entered the hunt for Han Solo, with a brand new one-shot comic published as part of Marvel's massive Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters crossover. When I've mentioned this series in the past, you have to bear in mind that Charles Soule admitted this series is going to be pivotal in giving backstory to the Book of Boba Fett, because it answers a lot of questions from what happened between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Don't underestimate comics, it's not a good idea in Star Wars, because they do provide a lot of answers. So now my dear Mandalorians, we're going to move on to a very requested topic. Disney has created a working Star Wars lightsaber. None of the cheap crap that you get from a toy shop. Apparently it's going to be working. Well, not 100%. But let's get into it. Since Star Wars debuted more than 40 years ago, fans have been dying to own their very own working lightsaber, and following a surprise announcement by Disney, that could become a reality very soon. During a Disney Parks press event on April the 8th to announce the opening date of Adventures Campus, Disney also revealed a working prototype for a lightsaber that will likely end up for sale by the company sometime in the future. We're not talking about cheap plastic ones, we're talking about something more high-end. No pictures were allowed to be taken of the event, and Disney has yet to publicly release anything about the device. However, Walt Disney Imagineering portfolio creative executive Scott Trowbridge, what a title. Do you really need all of those words in your job title? Anyway, sorry. So this dude, Scott, has confirmed that it exists, and he hinted that photos and video will eventually be released. So let's see the tweet that he put out. A lot of questions today about whether the lightsaber that Josh Dharma revealed today was real or CGI, and whether I'd share photos or video. Yes, it was/is really real, and not yet. So with all of that said, let's not start thinking about chopping down trees, because it's not going to functionally work. There's no way it's going to be an actual weapon, and instead it's likely just going to be one of the coolest collectibles ever, complete with a retractable blade, etc. As for how it works, it's a mystery, but Disney did register a patent in 2017 for a lightsaber device. A description reads as follows: a special effects device for providing an energy sword effect. The device includes 2 long plastic semi-cylinders, and these 2 blade body members are rolled perpendicular to their length, which creates compact cylinders of material of small volume that can be provided on a pair of spools in a hilt. So I guess we just have to wait and see what it is and how it works. So let's talk about The Mandalorian Season 3. Here's a really cool article. The Mandalorian Season 3 leaks reveal the scariest Jedi ever. So they're talking about the return of Thrawn and how that could trigger the return of a Legends Jedi. After a mention in The Mandalorian Season 2 and a recent leak, Thrawn is coming back to Star Wars, but this time in live action form, and that may come with the help of this terrifying Jedi villain. The presence of Thrawn in a Mandalorian adjacent show, and they're referring to Ahsoka, could also explain the weirdest part of The Mandalorian so far: Moff Gideon's weird plan to use Grogu to further cloning research. This might not necessarily be linked to Palpatine, but it could also tie into the sequels. We just have to wait and see. In the original Thrawn trilogy, Thrawn's Jedi advisor was the Dark Jedi, and he was known as Joruus C'baoth. Joruus was a clone himself created by Palpatine from a tissue sample of C'baoth, a Jedi Master who had died some 30 years prior. In canon, Force-sensitive clones have issues with their physical form, and in Legends it's the same. Joruus is not all there mentally. He's a Dark Jedi, which means that unlike the Sith, he has no organized code. Sith Lords do seek personal ambitions, but those ambitions usually mesh with furthering the Sith ideology. Dark Jedi are purely in it for themselves, which is a terrifying concept when combined with Joruus's instability. Joruus joining the Mandalorian would add an interesting counterpart to Grogu's upbringing. Grogu has only been surrounded by Jedi his entire life. It's what he's used to. If he's going to be convinced that Luke's training isn't for him, it'll be another Jedi, not a Sith. This Dark Jedi way of life could be the key to Grogu reuniting with Mando. An appearance from Joruus C'baoth in The Mandalorian Season 3 could foreshadow and directly tie in Thrawn's inevitable arrival too. With this Lost Legends character finding his way into canon, Joruus could help expand the Mandoverse even further and please fans of the now Legends EU. Now, as I say, this is no longer canon, but it is certain that Filoni and Favreau want to draw on that expanded universe and recanonize a lot of elements that were decanonized. But what do you guys think? I'll leave it over to you. What did you think of today's news update? If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also if you're feeling generous, please consider becoming a patron, where for just $2 or $10 a month you get exclusive access to content that's not found here on YouTube. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.